The most dramatic thing that you see coming into Lusk, of course, is this beautiful tower that's over here to my right. And I think the other thing that we're attracted to are the people of Lusk and of Ireland, because that's really your living treasure. And we found the people here just to be so friendly and accommodating that it makes you want to come back. Started out as a deputy sheriff in Yankton County, then I went to Connecticut and the state police, and I was a horse-mounted police officer in Boston, and my last stint was in Detroit. And I started school at the University of Michigan and my master's, and I finished my doctorate at the University of Oklahoma. And for the last 30 years, I've been teaching at the University of South Dakota. And then I was offered a job teaching after I had my doctorate. Well, some of the courses that I taught involved serial killer profiling. I also worked with the Attorney General's office on cold case investigations. I did the remote sensing, the technical part with the ground penetrating radar and soil resistivity. And I've kind of taken by the graveyards that I see here in Ireland, because much of what we did was to go out to these potter's field and use the ground penetrating radar to locate unmarked graves. The publishing of the book that I just finished, and it was a book that covered Vietnam veterans. I interviewed 31 Vietnam veterans about their lives before, during, and after Vietnam. And we were using all the proceeds from the sale of the book are going to veteran service organizations like the Disabled American Veterans. I was photographing at a veterans event, and this old boy came up to me and asked if I could take slides and turn them into prints, and I said yes, that I could. And I said, what do you have slides of? He says, well, I was a door gunner in Vietnam, and these are photos that I took from the helicopter. And then he said, I'm going to talk to my parole officer to see if I can't get into one of your classes. And he said, I got into a gunfight out in western South Dakota with a Native American. I thought he was going for his gun, so I went for mine, and I shot and killed him, and I did 13 years up in our state penitentiary. So the next day he came in with 2 old plastic tobacco bags full of 300 slides that he shot in Vietnam. And I thought, well, this guy's got an interesting story. There are probably more out there. And so one story led to another, and finally at 450 pages we buttoned it up with 31 veterans. And we covered all branches of the service, everything from helicopter pilots and fighter pilots. John McCain's friend in the Hanoi Hilton, Bud Day, was one of the people that we interviewed for the book. But in the aftermath, we had 58,307 that were killed, and probably another 150,000 that were wounded. And a lot of these vets are still suffering from the consequences of their wartime experiences, PTSD, high rates of suicide, Agent Orange related illnesses. So there's an old saying that there is no such thing as an unwounded warrior. They are all wounded in some way. And I think kind of the emphasis for doing the book was to preserve those legacies and memories of those people. There's an old Native American saying that says that a warrior dies twice, once on the battlefield and again when no one speaks his name. I think that, again, this is one of the treasures you have, the history of this area. And I think that one should really learn to appreciate that, to celebrate that, and to kind of spread the news, to bring people back in to this area and give them a chance to experience, like we have, the colorful history of this area.